back. This is the Sioux City Show. I'm hosting this thing. My name is Taylor Grote. In the studio with me today, I have the man himself, Rosario Perez AKA Rev. Go ahead and give us like a background on who you are, what you do.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Rev. I'm a local hip-hop artist. Well, I guess I wouldn't narrow. I'm a local musician, I'd like to call myself. It's basically the gist of it. I mean, born and raised around here, between here and Sergeant Bluff. Moved to Muncie, Indiana for a bit. Just kicking it.
Yeah. Muncie, Indiana for the company.
Yeah.
But you're off topic again, you know.
There we go.
Yeah, let's get back to it. So you are the reigning, week 6 champion of the Hard Rock 6K Battle of the Bands.
Week 4.
Week 4, reigning week 4 champion.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next round. Who's it?
It feels good.
Do you know who your opponents are? Your opponent is next round?
Artificial Stars, who I absolutely love them. They're a I'd call them an indie rock band, kind of a super high energy. I remember the first time I saw them was actually at the Mike Woods battle at the Marquee. And first of all, anything that Neil Strube touches is just completely gold, right? So I was super excited to see them. They get on stage and I was like, I'm gonna be pissed if these dudes don't win. Like, that's how damn good they are. They're incredible. I love them. And sure enough, they won that night. And
well, hopefully it ends there.
Yeah. I'm trying to break the cycle.
I'm pulling for Rev. Yeah,
me too.
So far in like your music career, what have you put out that people should be checking out?
I've got 2 albums out. My Imbecile EP, which is sort of what got me started here in Sioux City. I dropped that. You actually filmed it, the Imbecile video.
Right.
Gained me a little bit of recognition, earned me a spot on the Ape stage, Saturday in the Park. Well, it was still second stage back then.
Yep.
But, the Imbecile EP and latest album is Revelations. It's been out for about a year now. Got a new cool project coming soon. It's a split with a local band, so
nice. I'm
pretty excited.
Been aware of this, so I'm excited to see that one coming out.
It's really cool. Yeah. Actually, they're completely recorded. I feel bad because I've been sort of hindering the process. Like, I've got a day job, of course. So, like, between work, I'm going back to school, family, like that's my routine daily. And they've been, really patient with me. But this is something that's been planned for like a good year, I'd say. And
that's what's up.
They've got their tracks recorded, and they're like, "Man, are we gonna do this?" Yeah, I promise it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And now it's finally at the point where, like, I'm part-time at work. I'm going back to school. I've got free time.
Perfect.
Let's fucking knock it out. And I just recorded my first track for the album a few days ago, and it's, I think, the best track I've ever written. Definitely one of them.
Are you guys gonna drop any of these songs ahead of time, or is it all gonna come out as a complete project?
Yeah. We're actually, I know that they've got a few videos planned, so I think I kind of have to follow suit and
that's what's up.
Drop a video too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty excited.
It's important. I'm partial to the videos myself, as I've talked about on here. Yeah. So I we grew up together, right?
Yeah.
In Sergeant Bluff. We know each other from way back in the day.
Way back. I used to jump on people's trampolines. Probably not yours, but we may have jumped on a trampoline together.
Yeah, I never had a trampoline.
JT's probably.
I think probably. My parents knew me well enough to know that I didn't have the self-control instincts to like not kill myself on a trampoline.
Right.
So it's probably for the better that we never had one growing up.
I had one growing up, and I almost killed myself a few times.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Good times, man.
And that was back in that was 90s trampolines too. That's not the millennial trampoline.
Bro, there were no protective
springs.
barriers. Yeah. Exposed springs. Like, I remember at one point thinking that I could do a front flip for some stupid ass reason. I'm going to do a front flip off this trampoline. Ended up like getting my foot snagged between the actual, I don't know what it is, the mesh that you jump on, and the metal exposed railing. It just racked my chest on the ground.
Oh yeah, that's the only way to live, really.
Yeah.
When you're growing up, you got to have a few should have died incidents
to
really give you that perspective on I can die.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I learned how to handle getting the wind knocked out of me.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool because it wasn't the last time it happened.
Yeah.
So it just life experiences, man.
It was lawless back then too. I mean, like, we're old enough that we were playing Smear the Queer.
Yeah.
I'm not being politically insensitive
Disclaimer.
here. I'm
Sorry.
saying that was the actual name prescribed to the game of which we were playing.
Right.
And we didn't even know what the word queer even
I didn't know what a
to.
queer was until I shit you not, dude, probably like 14, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and then it kind of makes you go, oh damn, I don't know if we should.
I'm
have been
sorry.
Playing. That's a bad game that we were playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're old now.
If it's any consolation, I was definitely the queer most of the time.
Yeah. I remember we used to have like the neighborhood guys that were like 15, 16 years old would be over there playing with us when we're like in whatever the 3rd, 4th grade. So then we were just getting like, I mean, we were all the quote unquote queers that day, I guess. So
it was a nightmare. I remember I lived in Oak Hills, Sergeant Love, notorious, right? And all the cool older troublemakers lived there. And I remember one of them knocking on my door. I was in 4th grade for sure because I was in Boy Scouts getting ready to go to a Boy Scout meeting. And he knocked on my door. He's like, hey, we're going to play Smear the Queer really quick. You're the queer. I was like, okay, sure thing, man. Here we go. And walked over to the park. And he's like, so basically what's going to happen now is you're going to stand there and I'm going to tackle the shit out of you. And I was like, all right, go for it. And every time he'd get close to me, I would just completely drop down. And he'd say, it's going to be worse the more you resist. And I did it a few more times. And sure enough, man, when I finally let him hit me, I was probably the 2nd time I got the wind knocked out of me.
yeah, dude. It's lawless back in the day. Real reckless. Days
it's
before
crazy, man. I tell, like, my son that he's 12 now. It's a different time, you know. But I remember when I lived, well, I didn't live with my dad, but my dad lives out in the country in Sergeant Bluff. He would throw me the keys at 14 and, like, let me cruise to a friend's house, you know, a mile or 2 away on them gravel roads and wouldn't think anything of it. Like, nowadays, it's like...
That's a big deal. Yeah,
that's scary. Like, that's jail time for a parent.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I always refer to, like, our childhood, or my childhood, which corresponds to yours, as the days before the internet, because it was so much different growing up pre-internet, basically, and I know it existed if you want to be historian with me, but like having to figure out, especially living in Sergeant Bluff, having to figure out culture and all that. Like, I remember going to Barnes & Noble when that first came to Sioux City and, like, going to the magazine section and getting all the skate magazines and looking through them and, like, seeing, like, oh, these are what the new skateboards that are coming out. These are the pro skateboarders, because we had no way to figure that stuff out before.
Oh, dude, I remember that. What was it, Trans World, maybe?
Yeah.
Was that a...
Yep, Trans World Skateboard. I was into snowboarding, so...
Yeah, I learned from that, and there was a merch catalog that my brother would always get. CSS, maybe CCS, I can't remember now.
CCS, yeah.
CCS, and I'd be like, look at these skateboarders. Basically the same thing. Like,
do
you know who Jeff Rowley is?
Yeah,
like,
let
me tell you about Jeff Rowley.
And I'd have, like, a notebook that I'd write down, like, all the pro skateboarders that I thought looked really cool in their magazine photos, and then, like, go research them, because, you know, the internet existed, but it was dial-up, and
so miserable
basically only had it at
done.
school when I was really growing up. And writing down, like, all the facts I could find out about them, like, oh, these are the cool skateboarders, these are the ones I want to be like, or, you know, watching Viva La Bam was, like, the first influence and all that kind of stuff.
Bam Margera, everything about him, just, I feel like he had such an influence on so many people that I grew up with, like, from the way we dressed to, like, the shoes we wore to the music we listened to.
I'm like a product of skate culture without, like, really
sure.
being a very good skateboarder. Like, I'm
dude.
still to this day wearing Vans and tight jeans and buy all my clothes at Zoomies or PacSun just because it's like that was the cool stuff. We were in that, like, transition from Michael Jordan being the cool guy that you look up to Bam Margera, Tony Hawk, the whole Jackass crew, really. I remember, like, Terry Kennedy was... they called him Compton Ass Terry on the show, and, like, he was the big dude at the time. So, yeah, it's wild. Like, I had a tweet going this morning that was kind of based around that idea. Like, the kids these days don't, like, have any idea of how good of a time it is to be a kid growing up in Iowa, because when we were doing it, like, you really had to seek out cultures, subcultures, and all that kind of stuff. But now you can get on YouTube and type in anything you want to find out about, and you can be an expert on it within the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everything is so different now. I mean, shit, dude. I'm 27 now. So trying to think, that was 17 years ago. I was 10, right? My math's right. I'm going with that.
Yep.
Dude, everything is so different. Like, I remember just not coming home from school and my mom wouldn't worry. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, oh, he's probably over at someone's house. Or
and
like,
you didn't have a cell phone that she could even call you on, right?
It sounds cliche and you hear it a lot, but you would have to call someone's house phone or cruise around town until you saw where all the bikes were.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's where they are. You know?
Oh, I remember what my tweet was now. My tweet was going to be focused around that, like, being in 6th grade and trying to get a girlfriend. Those kids will never understand having to call somebody's house phone and ask a girl's parents to, like, talk to their daughter. Oh, God, that's horrifying. That is the scariest. That's a man maker right there. That is the Christian bar mitzvah, I think. That's like the worst thing you can do growing up.
I'm scared just thinking about it because I remember that. Like,
if that was still the case, I'd be living alone right now. I'd be a man alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be damned if I'm calling anyone.
Right?
You know.
Yeah. True. True. Exactly. I still get the old heebie-jeebies every time I see an unknown number pop up. But.
Bro, you and me both. I get such trepidation when it comes to talking on the phone, like, to the point where when it comes time to do grown-up shit, I, like, have to have it all figured out in my head, like, almost word for word what's happening. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like I'm reading off of a script, like, my name's Rosario, I'm calling in regards to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And, no, just chill, man.
I've just gone far left with it. I'm rogue now. I'll call, and they probably think that they're...
Can I text my doctor? Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'll call, like, the, whatever insurance or whoever I have to get a hold of that I've been putting off for 3 weeks. They probably think that, like, their buddy that they grew up with is on the phone on the other line, because I just, like, don't know how to do it seriously, because I feel the same way, like I'm reading off a script. So I just call and I'm like, oh, what's up, man? I'm trying to get a hold of this person because I need to get my insurance set up. I really don't know how to do this. I just need you to walk me through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're probably, okay, we got a 16-year-old on the phone, I guess, trying to get insurance. Says he's 27.
They didn't teach us that shit in school, man.
No.
I think we learned how to write checks. I'm pretty sure.
But, yeah, that's done me a lot of good. I'm still on my first checkbook from...
Are you really?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I can write a check. I don't think I've ever had my own, like, personal checkbook, just because, like, debit cards were a thing. Yeah. You know? So that's always been much... But that shit got me in a lot of trouble, too, man. You're not checks and balances.
Yep. I'm pretty sure the amount of checks I've written corresponds directly to how many times I've had to actually pay rent. Like, it was my turn to pay rent in a month when I lived with roommates. That's about as far as my check writing goes. And I can 100% say I've spent far more time in school learning how to balance a checkbook than I have ever spent balancing a checkbook.
They put so much detail into that whole curriculum. Like, they were ruthless about it. Like, yeah. Okay, this check is horrible. Rewrite another one. You know? Yep. I remember that. Like, almost to a T, man. Like, I think at one point we all had, like, our own little checkbooks, and we'd have to write, like, these little fake checks to buy shit from, like, the school store and stuff. And that was nerve-wracking. Yep. And the teacher would, like, come get you later and be like, okay, so this is what's wrong with your check. And it's like, look, I'm 11 years old.
I forgot about that. That's
a
good
real thing, bro.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that happened, for real. Dude, that's one thing about me that I think blows people's minds is, like, I remember... just the most minuscule shit. Like, I
guess so.
I remember being in first grade once, and this might be, like, name dropping someone, but there's a chick we went to school with. Her last name is Goff, right? Okay, yeah. And I remember being in first grade and saying, your name's Goff, that rhymes with golf. And she's like, well, you have glasses and you look stupid. And I was like, your last name rhymes with golf. And she told the teacher, and, like, all hell broke loose. I got in trouble for teasing.
Did you learn a lesson that day about having glasses and looking stupid?
I never looked stupid.
Good. You
that
changed
year.
It. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Took you 12 months to forget the lesson, but you remember the memory. So.
Yeah, and I definitely never told anyone what their last name rhymed with ever again.
Yeah.
Them were the days.
Good. I'm glad. I wish everybody would have just laid off that growing up with the last name Grote.
Oh, dude, you probably had it gnarly, huh?
No, it's carry
Iron
big
fist,
fist,
dude.
Yeah,
There
you know
you
how
go.
it is. Yeah, I guess there was a kid at the same at Sergeant Bluff whose last name was Gross, so it took the
Oh yeah,
took the pressure
I'd
off
have made
being
fun of
Grote.
him more than you for sure.
Exactly. It really takes the heat off you when somebody's got a worse last name than you.
You got lucky.
Yeah, and I got really lucky that there was a bunch of dudes named Taylor at our school and no girls.
Right.
Because that could have been dangerous. That was when I went to college. I didn't even really, I knew of Taylor Swift. I knew that she was an entity, but I thought that was a one-off deal. I thought she had a boy's name.
Right.
And then I'd be, meet people in college and they'd be like, "Your name is Taylor?"
Right.
And then I figured out how to leverage it for my benefit. I'd go into, I'd email teachers after, sorry, mom and dad, skipping class for a week or two at a time and be like, "Hey, so sorry. I'd like to, if I could come to your office hours, get caught up on whatever's going on. I'd love to do that." And I noticed that the dude professors were a lot more willing to meet with me on office hours.
Come on in, Taylor.
Taylor Grote. And then I'd show up and they'd be like, "Oh, you're Taylor." "Yup, I'm a boy named Taylor. Sorry, you're not going to be
Busted.
perving right now."
Fuck yeah,
But we can
man.
talk about grades. Like, yeah, I mean, for the right A, maybe.
I'll throw on a wig, dude. Dress.
Exactly.
For an A? Shit, man. I'm funking out.
Exactly.
Don't put it past me.
Oh, yeah.
See, I didn't really get a lot of flack for my name growing up. I've noticed it's definitely happened more consistently, like now that I'm an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because like I knew that Rosario was primarily a female name growing
Mm-hmm.
up. Like I knew that, but it's Sergeant Bluff, you know what I mean? Like there wasn't a whole lot of exposure to like Hispanic culture in Sergeant Bluff.
Yeah.
So like nobody else really knew that. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
now that I'm older and I work with a huge chunk of the Hispanic population, not the Hispanic population, but most of my customers and clientele are Hispanic, right?
Yeah.
So I'll get shit for it all the time. Like,
Yeah.
Rosario. Like, you know what, man? My dad's name's Rosario too. I'm really sorry.
Then you have
It
to
is
explain
what
to
it
them
is.
that your name's Rosario Perez and speak Spanish.
Yeah, oh, dude, that's the
It's
worst,
a tough
man.
pill to swallow for them, probably.
It happens to me all the time, man. They see my name tag or like my name on my shirt.
Yeah.
Start talking to me in Spanish, and I'm like, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Uno momento.
Let me go find somebody.
Yeah, drives them nuts.
Exactly. That's funny.
But it's also inspired me to like learn Spanish. Like I feel
Yeah.
like it's probably a good skill to have.
Really is, especially in Sioux City.
Oh, yeah.
It is a
I think
super
just
solid skill to have.
anywhere. Like
yeah.
I wish I had stayed in school long enough to like take Spanish class. I
Mm.
probably would. I maybe wouldn't have paid attention, but I would have like looked back on it and been like, man, I should have paid attention.
Yeah. You'd at least regret it a little
Right,
bit.
there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still pulling up like those like Spanish forward memories every once in a while, pulling those out of thin air. But that's honestly probably about the extent of really useful high school classes,
Yeah.
honestly, because like it's so tough to. I mean, we're probably sound like old men here, but
I feel old.
yeah, is like growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, like the internet's coming of age, like cell phones became a thing, but like smartphones weren't a deal. Social media really wasn't a deal when we were like in high school. Everything we learned in school prepared us for a world that was totally different than the one that we entered into.
Bro, do you remember when they first put cameras on cell phones?
Yes.
That was mind-blowing technology.
Yes.
And now these phones that we hold in our hands, I don't use my laptop very much. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
You're right.
I've got a computer. I can do almost anything from my phone.
Yeah.
Like,
When camera phones first came about, I remember like when video, not only cameras, but like then video was like 2 years later, right? And I remember the first
choppy.
the first dude having a video on his cell phone when we were like seniors in high school, and he had recorded a fight that happened in a hallway, and you had to ask which one was. Like it wasn't 1080p.
Yeah.
It was like 8 pixels moving around on
Right.
the screen. Basically, you're watching Super Mario.
And that
Yeah.
shit was so high-tech back then.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, did you see that video?
Yeah. And then like he couldn't even send it to anybody because nobody else had a video phone, so the
Right.
phones didn't even
Oh,
support
dude,
video.
That was
Yeah.
miserable. I remember that.
Brutal. And I probably got my first smartphone like 2012. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah, because, I mean, it might have been a little bit before that, but...
I'm trying to think. My first smartphone was an iPhone 5C, so it couldn't have been that long ago.
No. I remember specifically being in college, and at the time, like, Twitter was a thing already, but it was a thing on desktop, and to get anybody's tweets that they sent out, like, you had to sign up, say I want their tweets sent to my mobile. So you'd get a text message that was like, Rosario Perez tweeted, and he tweeted this, and you'd like have to like scroll down with your T9 word cell phone, and find what the actual tweet was, and if it was like more than, because actually I think that, you know how it was 140 characters to begin with.
Yeah.
I think that they did that because cell phones, a text message at the time was like 140 character maximum.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
No, I've only had Twitter for like 2 years.
Well, welcome to the game, bud.
God,
Yeah.
That's nuts, dude. I remember just getting into MySpace, and everyone's like, shit, this was like freshman year of high school, because that's when I dropped out, was freshman year. So that's I remember like going up to people in school and being like, yo, add me on MySpace, and they're like, dude, we're on Facebook, bro.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's fucking Facebook? And now Facebook's just runs my life.
Facebook runs the world almost. So yeah, Facebook has just been ridiculous over the last few years, and I actually hate Facebook. I feel like I'm a slave to an algorithm when I'm putting shit out on the internet. We, speaking of which, just put out a music video that wasn't really a music video between you and I.
We did. Honeywave.
Pretty beautiful. Yeah.
It was cool, man. And honestly, again, I want to thank you for talking me into that, because if you haven't seen it, spoken word kind of thing. It's like, it was like the exact image you had planned. Like, I remember you laying it out to me, like, look, dude, I want it to be in black and white. I just want you in front of the camera. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. No special effects, nothing fancy. And that's what we did. And I remember, like, dude, even when I wrote and recorded that, like, I don't know how many times I listened to it before I was like, oh, man, okay, you know what? Fuck it. You're going to do it. Do it. You know what I mean? So for that video to happen was, I'll make a confession, dude. To this day, I haven't watched the video. Like, I've watched, like, maybe the first part of it, but I haven't watched it all the way through. Just because it's a super, like, personal, like, you know what I mean? But I'm really glad, because the reaction's been awesome. You know what I mean? For the most part. I've had people send me messages like, thank you so much for sharing, that kind of thing, you know? And that's beautiful. I think that's all an artist really wants, is to make an impact on someone's life, you know what I mean? And I've said that shit from the beginning. If I can, you know, help someone with my music, then it's like fucking mission accomplished.
That's definitely the direction that your music tends to go, right?
Yeah,
it's like
for sure.
Introspective, a look back on your life, a look on like the struggles that I think most people feel. You know, some elevated to some people, some not. And I guess I just love your music, as far as even being like a person from Sioux City. A big beef that I like voice openly is, I like people from Sioux City to make music about life in Sioux City. You know, it's not like, so the first time you talk about like whipping a Lambo, you've lost me, because I know that's not a life I'm familiar with, and I know that's not a life you're familiar with, and yours is pretty much like the polar opposite of that.
Yeah, you know, it's I've just always related to that part more, like that part of my life, I guess, because I have done like the horrible, stupid stuff that, you know, teenagers do living in the Midwest. Like, you know, I've hung out with the wrong people. I've played with guns, like done stupid shit, you know, things that I regret, hurt people, you know, sold drugs, you know, like I've done that. I've been on that side of things, but my personal life has always been right there with me. You know what I mean? As stupid as that sounds, like I've always had that depression, like that childhood to, like that I kind of dwelled on. And that was, this music was like my therapy. You know what I mean? As corny as that sounds, like I had to do it. I had to, like, have to, I guess, because I'm still doing it. Like, and I've grown since then. And I'm not so sad anymore.
Yeah,
I've got a beautiful fiance, 2 kids, one on the way. Like, life is good. You know what I mean? Like, it is good. I'm doing things with my music. So I don't have a whole lot to be sad about now. But I have had a lot of shit to be sad about.
Right.
And, I do catch a lot of flack for that. The sad rapper, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's just, I don't look at it as being the sad rapper so much as like, I've never carried a front. You know what I mean? I've never pretended to be someone I'm not. Because I am that dude who'll tell you my life story, but at the same time, like, smack you in the mouth if you get lippy. You know what I mean?
Right,
like, that's just who I am. Like,
and it's been really great for me to, not only hear your music, but like you said, see where your life is at now with I've been around you as you've gotten your fiance, got this family started, and and I obviously have known you since way back.
Yeah.
As probably another fault of being a dude from the Midwest is that I think it's really common for people here to see other people through their ups and downs and not really communicate during the downs. Right. For whatever fault it is, I'm not going to be generally the guy that says hey, just checking in to make sure everything's all right. Tell me about what's going on in your life, because it's just how you're raised and what the social standards of being in Northwest Iowa doesn't really facilitate that kind of conversation. And so it's really been eye-opening for me to hear your music and hear about the history that you've overcame and and then even on the other hand, there's a lot of people that have shitty life experiences that they let beat them. And I feel as an outsider looking in, your music has been a way that you're not being beaten. You're really coming out on the other side
for sure,
a solid dude.
Yeah, and I think this unspoken aspect of my music is this should all happen in the Midwest. You know what I mean? Yeah. This happened. I grew up in small town Iowa. Mm-hmm. Lived in small town Iowa for years, and this shit was happening. Right. You don't ever think of that. Not to dwell too much on myself, but a lot of shit that I went through, you see in the movies. You know what I mean? Just dumb things like that. And no, dude, it's right here, and I'm not the only one. What I went through is just a minute fraction. I have lived a golden life compared to some people I've met. You know what I mean? And that's very humbling, but scary to think about at the same time. Just because that, me personally, that it's kind of a downer, but that's always in the back of my mind. Going back to our childhood, dude, when we were younger, cruising around town, even as we got older, getting drunk with my friends, I never thought about the darkness of the world outside of what was happening to me, what kind of crazy shit's going on right now. Then as I became an adult, I was man, the world's a fucking crazy place. Right. You know what I mean? I mean, from the war side of things to there's a huge opiate crisis right now, huge, massive. That's heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. Child trafficking, there's all of that darkness going on in the world that I don't want to say it's overlooked, but I wasn't thinking about it as a kid. You know what I mean? Okay. Now that I'm older and a parent, I see that, but I don't focus on it too much because, like I said, kind of going back to it is, I'm not in that dark, depressing mind. I know myself well enough to know that if I do get into my head, it's not a good place most of the time. Mm-hmm. But I know how to overcome that now.
Definitely. And that's always for the better. Is
for sure.
Finding that way to take, not tragedy, but negativity.
Yeah,
and turn
for sure.
negativity into realization, really. And a lot of the foundations of the Honeywave Media concept, creating original content for people in Sioux City, is based around a lot of what you're saying. I remember being at college in Iowa City, and Iowa City's like 50% kids from Chicago go to University of Iowa because it's cheaper than any in-state schools there, I guess. And all these,
so close now that I think about it.
Yeah, all these kids. It was closer for kids from the Chicagoland suburb area to go to University of Iowa than it was for me being from Sioux City to go to University of Iowa. Their commute home was shorter than mine. And I remember all these kids would show up right away, and they want to talk about, like, oh, these people from Iowa, like, oh, you guys must all be, like, farm kids. Like, oh, cornfields, this kind of that. And it's like, that's not really a life I'm familiar with at all. Like, I didn't grow up as a farm kid. I didn't grow up in a farming community. I grew up in a river town that's, like, nothing great. You know, it's not nothing great, because Sioux City does have a lot to write home about. But in terms of what people stereotypically see as Iowa, and probably like the Field of Dreams aspect, isn't the Iowa I grew up in.
Right.
I grew up in, there was like, it was also the 90s, early 2000s when like gangbanging was a thing. So that kind of stuff was always around a lot more. And I wanted to make stories for Honeywave that like kind of showcase the Iowa, Sioux City that I grew up in. Not that it's all going to be negative, but it's going to be the world as I see it, I guess.
It's crazy to think about, because yeah, I hear that stereotype a lot. Like, oh, Iowa, you know, like you mentioned, you're a farmer, and it's like, I do know a few kids who like were farmers. You know what I mean? Who like grew up on farms, but I know a lot of people who like were just like from the streets, or like in just different situations that weren't farming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
On the other hand, addiction's probably a bigger issue in Sioux City or Iowa, these small rural communities, than it is going to be in bigger cities, because if you look at the statistics, basically if you look at like the top 10 states on like binge drinking addiction problems, it's basically the Midwest and Alaska and Hawaii. Though I saw this come out the other day through USA Today, so it's on top of my mind. But like, it didn't surprise me at all.
See, and it's funny that you mentioned that. Not funny, but like, I'd consider like Ohio kind of the Midwest. You know what I mean? I guess, and that's like Cleveland has just Ohio in general, like Cleveland, Columbus, they're all like at the epicenter of this massive like opioid epidemic. You know, so I don't know that has anything to do with like the Midwest. You know what I mean?
I get you. Yeah.
It's just nuts to think about, man, because I could see the people from either coast having that like Field of Dreams, like you mentioned, vision of what Iowa and like the Midwest is, but it's not like that at all.
No, I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure that exists in places.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not the version I'm familiar with by any means.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I've driven, you know, like 45 minutes either direction and like hit a small town, and where they're all farmers or whatever. Yeah. So that there's that. It, like you said, it's here. Yeah. But I don't think that you can group Iowa or the Midwest as just that.
And then even to add on to it, you know, we live in Sioux City, which is primarily blue collar industry, where you're going to have like meat packing, you're going to have warehouse jobs, it's manufacturing. It's not, there's not tech jobs. It's not like, even in Des Moines or Cedar Falls or Iowa City, you have more of like a tech based economy, where in Sioux City you got these jobs where it's, you max out pay $20 an hour, right? Yeah. So with that brings like
physically breaking your back.
Yeah, you know? a large blue collar working class population, a large immigrant population, which is not, I think when people think of Iowa, they're not going, oh, the town's going to be 20% Hispanic.
Yeah.
They're not going to, that's not where they go. They're not expecting Sioux City to have the top 10 Mexican restaurants in the world, which I will stand by.
I don't know if you know how I feel about that, but
Rosario Perez is, in fact, a La Juanita's hater. For
I am.
Any listeners out there, go ahead and send him hate mail.
Yeah. Or just send me like gift cards to Weddos.
Okay.
You know, I don't know, man. You know, it's funny because I've been really outspoken about this for years, and it's just now catching steam. Like, people are like, man, you're fucking nuts. But I've been saying for years, like, Lawas ain't really
Rosario hates
all you think
La
it is,
Juanitas, loves Nickelback. Go ahead and put all that in perspective.
I love Nickelback. I do. That's on another note, super fucking stoked they're coming.
Yeah.
Like caught my tickets today. They went on sale.
There you
Like
go.
I love Nickelback, man.
Me and Brad Streeter was on the last episode, and he was saying like, yeah, Nickelback sells out arenas. Everybody can say they hate them as much as they want. Whatever.
I've seen Nickelback like 2 or 3 times, and every single time, their show has just left the entire audience like from the nosebleeds to like front row just completely in an uproar. Like they're a killer show, man. And I don't think they have horrible music personally.
No, Rockstar
I've listened to them, dude.
I will say Rockstar is a good song.
Rockstar is a great song. But I mean, I own every one of their albums.
There it is.
You know, I love it.
Yeah.
Nickelback's the shit.
What's their top album?
Probably that's tough because one of my favorite Nickelback songs of all time is Leader of Men. But All the Right Reasons is like pretty solid. That's probably one of my favorites. Silver Side Up's really good.
Right.
Their new one, what is it? Feed the Machine.
I'm not the Nickelback fan
sorry.
here, buddy.
Yeah, they would. That blew my mind. It was really good.
All right, I got my listening checklist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. Everybody's got to like what they like, man.
Dude,
don't let anybody tell you different.
No, I listen to everything though, from like Ronnie Millsap, like old, like living in Iowa. I was a lot of '90s country. You know what I mean? Like, Brooks and Dunn. You know, Garth Brooks, that kind of shit. But like even the new wave stuff, like like Logic. I love Logic.
I thought you were about to say Jason Aldean. I thought
Jason
you were
Aldean. No.
That country music new wave. Ooh, I was gonna have an issue.
When Jason Aldean first, maybe not when he first came out, but I think when he first hit the radio, he had like the Hicktown song. Was that him?
Yeah.
That song was pretty lit.
There was like another one. She's Country was really good at the time, but then like once you can figure out somebody's formula, shut it down. No, thank you. No more of that.
He had this really sad song about like getting into a fight, like with his wife or something. I can't think of what it's called, but it's like, why does it always have to come down to you leaving? And I was like, God damn, you were hurting right now.
Or at least whoever wrote that song.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's funny. Probably Chris Stapleton. I just found out about the dude that he was writing hits for everybody before he started his own career.
Chris Stapleton is, in my opinion, one of the most talented individuals in all of music. Like, I'm not even going to lump him in with one genre.
He's
like
not
just
a country musician.
Throughout music.
Like, he's just
beautiful voice, incredible songwriting. Like, some of it, like, it'll give me goosebumps, you know what I mean? Like, that's how fucking good he is. I love Chris Stapleton.
I just found out about the dude did you know that he was a frontman for a band before he was solo? I
did not know that.
Pa, you got something to learn now. There's this band called the Steel Drivers. It's a bluegrass band. They're still around, but from like 08, I think, to 2012, Chris Stapleton was the frontman. Wow. It's a bluegrass band. And I just found out about it 2 days ago. And I listened to their album. I guess I'm a bluegrass fan now.
Right, they're great, aren't they?
God, he's got a voice on him. Like, it's just it is genre-less almost.
Yeah.
Like, it's R&B, but it's blues, but it's country, but it's like, I mean, it's old school R&B. It's not Usher R&B. But
I feel that same way about like I don't know if you know who Jason Isbell is, but Jason Isbell is like one of my favorites of all time. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't put it past you. Like, to me, he's kind of the same way. Like, he maybe not so much like the R&B aspect of it, but I feel like he could go between genres.
Are you on the Sturgill Simpson train then?
Bro.
You got it.
Bro.
Yeah, same way. It's
Don't get me started.
Is he country? And then he drops like a Meta Modern Sounds in Country Music, which is basically a Waylon Jennings album made in 2015. I think that album came out. And then follows it up with A Sailor's Guide to Earth, which is like a Motown album where they have like trumpet and horn sections on every song, and he self-produced that one.
That's nuts. See, it's funny because I was just one of my Facebook has that on this day thing. It's probably a few weeks ago I put a status there, like maybe last year or the year before. I was like, man, there's nothing better than falling asleep and waking up to the sweet sounds of Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah.
And you commented something like, I don't know exactly what you said, but like, just let it transcend you or something, like something really off the wall. And I was like, it does.
It does. That's like one of my, for any mood, music.
Oh, dude.
In the Grote household, in the mornings, I like to start the morning with coffee and vinyl before I like get the phone out for the day, start on the emails because I work from home or whatever. So it's like 90% of the time it's either Sturgill, Chris Stapleton, or Sean James, and then
Sean James
A and the B side, drink a few cups of coffee, have the dog out, and then it's like, this is as good of a start to the day as you can have.
Oh, I need to start doing that, man.
It's important.
Usually my day starts off with like my daughter screaming, Dad, Dad, Dad. And then at that point it's like, all right, man, time to wake up. Mm-hmm. But usually by like 9 o'clock there's some sort of music going like nonstop, like all day. But I don't think I just stick to one specific. Like the other day I was listening to the Eminem show, like front to back. My God, if that's not one of the, kind of off topic, like it makes me kind of resent the new Eminem, like to an extent, just because that album, fucking flawless from front to back, like gets you moving, and then it also like hits you right in the feels, and it makes you angry, and then sad, and then angry, and then like fucking just classic album, dude, incredible.
Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady LP, and the Eminem show were like era-defining albums. That was those, how we were talking about like the skaters of our generation. Yeah, those were like the albums of our generation.
Dude, I remember White America. The first time I heard that, that was, I couldn't skate. I'm horrible at skateboarding, but like I would walk around in like my Etnies or like my DCs, and like back then MP3 players were like 2 gigs. Like just something horrendous, and they were huge too. But I had White America, and I would just play that on repeat and just like, what are you listening to? Like, oh, you don't know nothing about this. This ain't for you. You know what I mean?
Everybody was listening to the same shit. We were all like the same emotional wrecks that had to listen to Eminem in our own time.
I do take credit though for introducing 50 Cent to Sergeant Bluff.
I'll give it to you.
Like, funny story here. I remember like trying to show people in like 5th grade, even like 50 Cent, like Wanksta. Like I heard Wanksta before like anyone else heard Wanksta, and I was like, this is the hot joint, dude. 50 Cent is going to be huge. And I remember when the Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack came out, we were in 6th grade. I remember this vividly because it was, oh man, who was it? Someone was burning copies of that CD and giving them to all the cool kids. Drake. You know what I mean?
Probably Drake Evelyn.
No, it wasn't Drake Evelyn. It was a chick. God.
There was only so many people with CD burners at the time.
Yeah, that's what's driving me nuts. Is it's like right there at the tip of my tongue. But I remember this conversation going like, so back then you burned CDs, you wrote real nice on it, like the track listing, and someone was like, "Who's 50 Cent?" And whoever burned the CD was like, "Oh, I don't know, some rapper guy." And I was like, some rapper guy? Are you insane? Yeah. What is wrong with you? Some rapper guy, please get out of here. You know what I mean? And I'm in 6th grade at this point, just irate that this person called him some rapper guy. And next thing you know, like in the clubs bumping, and like you couldn't go to a single like party get together without that song playing. And
it is. Okay, so I've been trying to remind myself to ask people questions on this podcast that they can answer in the comment section. And I think that this brings up a good one. Who was the first rapper that you really listened to? Go ahead and comment like the rapper and the album, if there was a specific album, in the comment section. If you're watching this on YouTube, that's basically the only place you're gonna have comments. But yeah. So
Facebook.
Let me know
Facebook,
on
YouTube,
who your first rapper was, because I'm not gonna. This clip's probably not gonna be on Facebook. Yeah. But yeah, and then for I don't know what my youngest listener is, probably my age or whatever. But if you're like 18 years old and you're right now, and you're like, oh, how did he find out about 50 Cent? Did you find him on YouTube? Didn't exist yet. Did you find him on SoundCloud? Didn't exist yet. Back in the day, you needed to either have an older brother or have a friend with an older brother that could show you all of the music that was coming out.
I think I learned about 50 Cent through, I'm almost positive, it was like 106 and Park had this thing where they'd be like, check out this underground artist who's like going to be the next big thing or whatever.
Oh, so you had BET? I didn't.
I had BET. Bro, I thought I was so, like, looking back at it, like it was a luxury we couldn't afford. But like my dad just had to have like Spanish channels, you know what I mean? Because my dad's Hispanic, and like that wasn't on regular TV at the time. Yeah. So like we had that luxury of. It was like dishing up huge satellite dishes, bro. I don't know if you remember, but like now they're like this big. They used to be massive, take up your whole fucking backyard.
Dude, is that okay? So everybody I know with one of those, grew up with at least one parent in the household that didn't speak English. And
no way, dude.
Now I'm putting two and two together. I was like, are all of my Mexican friends just balling out of control? How are all my Mexican friends so rich that they have like a full-on satellite in the backyard?
Bro, it was
it was like a TV. It was like you were broadcasting TV is what it looked like.
Dude, you would have to manually. I remember like we would manually go out there and like fucking try to move this massive satellite dish. And looking back at it now, it's like, man, that was stupid. Like because
That's so funny.
You know, I think my dad just took it down. We were actually filming that God Can Be Funny video there at some point.
Yeah.
And I think he had just taken it down like the week prior. And God, I remember like friends coming over and being like, "Oh, this is the satellite dish. Yeah. Don't worry about it. It ain't gonna hurt you.
Oh, don't worry. You know,
it's all good."
You guys see the satellite out back? Oh yeah.
Like just standing under it when it rained. Just like little things like that, man.
And they're like, I don't know. Again, if anybody that's listening right now is like that 18 or under, like these things were literally 10 feet across.
If not more, man. They were like, growing up, I felt like they were the same satellites that like astronauts were relying on.
They literally
probably were, now that I think about it. Yeah. They were massive, just so big, so unnecessary. But they were like a necessity if you wanted those channels, man, because back then rabbit ears worked, you know what I mean? So you'd get channel 4, 9, 14, 27, and then eventually 44. Like KPTH wasn't always the thing, guys. But yeah, those 4 channels, which was basically like news, and then PBS, you know what I mean, which was also news later on. And no Spanish channels. I'm sure my dad just got sick of listening to, you know, Drew Carey.
I was growing up, you know, staying the night at my grandparents' house. Son of a bitch, there's no cable here. I guess I'm learning about the world affairs tonight. What's Clinton doing?
Right, that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
We it's funny because when my parents got a divorce and I moved with my mom, of course. I shouldn't say of course because a lot of people do stay with their dads, but I made the choice to move with my mom. So did my other siblings, and we didn't have like cable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And back then it was cool. Like I have like satellite now, DirecTV, but I watch like 2 channels. You know, I've got Netflix.
Personally, I'm not a TV haver.
Really?
I don't watch sports, so it's
really
no point in
that's
me having it.
Big reason is I'm a massive Detroit Lions fan, and I can't. You won't catch any of their games anywhere. Like if you're not in Detroit.
I actively avoid them. So all games.
Do you really? Dude, oh man! Now that I think about it, I could see that.
Played sports my whole life. Just never like even when I played sports,
you didn't have like a favorite sports team.
No, there'd be situations coming up all the time where I'd have coaches flabbergasted, like, Taylor, why did you do that? I'm like, I don't even know the rules to this game that well. I don't watch it on TV. I'm just out here hanging out with friends.
Yeah,
really.
Dude.
I happen to be fast. That's the extent of like my sports fandom. I'm fast and I like hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't.
That's funny because I for years was completely positive that I was going to be like a starting lineman for the Detroit Lions, and like I played football for like 2 years. You know what I mean? Before I blew my hips out.
Yeah.
And well, it didn't happen. But now I have technology to watch them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crystal clear HD. Hallelujah.
Right. You're not wrong. Yeah.
My mom doesn't have like now I have no need for it. She's like, I'll fucking sit and read, you know what I mean? I was like, man.
Yeah. I pay for the fast. I mean, it's not like I'm some kind of Amish person living in my house. I pay for the fast
Wi-Fi?
internet. Yeah, so I just like watch Netflix, and like one of my TVs is just the Roku TV, where it's like literally the buttons are, do you want to watch Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, HBO Now, and I got all those.
Yeah.
So I'm probably paying just as much as I would be for cable, honestly.
But it's cooler. It's edgier.
Yeah, and now I'm like, now at this point in my life, I'm doing everything I can to not become a slave to technology. So, just I got this Apple Watch that gets calls and texts on it.
Yeah.
And like lets me know when I have an email. So when I'm out during the day, I don't even bring my phone with me.
So do you have cellular on that watch?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
see, that's cool because I'm so ignorant to like new technology. Like I can't really keep up with it. Like I played with the iPhone X at Target and I love it. I know that I love it. I don't know why, but I know it's great. And but I just bought my fiance an Apple Watch, like, you know, because she wanted one really bad. Yeah. And it blows my fucking mind. Like just technology, man.
It's
going
insane,
back to
really.
it, what is going on with the world?
Yeah. Like I find myself caring about the stupidest things. Like I'll check my heart rate constantly. Like obsessing over
The stress is eating me
alive.
alive.
I'm trying to become like a superhuman, I think, by going lower than like, because I had a few days in a row where my resting heart rate on average throughout the day was like 51 beats per minute.
Whoa.
Which is like ninja slow.
Yeah.
And so I like consciously like try and keep myself like not stressed out.
Do you like move slow and shit too?
Nah, I don't move slow because it just like knows like when you're sitting on the couch or whatever, and I just try to not. I was stupid. I was trying to watch things that like weren't
Stimulating
action. You know, it was just laid back, just watching camera reviews on Facebook, basically.
Just chilling, keep my heart rate low.
Just trying to keep the heart rate low. You know, real casual, like 27-year-old guys are supposed to be doing, I guess, in their free time, worrying about their health to a weird extent.
Could be doing worse.
Probably could be.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, true.
I'm gonna get me one of those to check my heart rate.
Yeah, I just honestly, like, the thing that got me worried was my thumb started having right here in this ligament. It started getting like tense and like getting sore at the end of the day from scrolling.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, how much am I scrolling? Like, I'm starting to feel it, right? So when they announced that the Series 3 Apple Watch was gonna have cellular on it, I was like, great, a way that I can, because when you're running a business, right, you kind of got to be available. Like, there's calls I get that I have to answer. So I just keep, I have like the Bluetooth headphones that I just keep in my, I keep them in my ears really most of the day because when I'm working at coffee shops, I don't want
deal with people.
a ton of conversation going on. Yeah. So like, and then it interrupts, and I can play music off this too.
Yeah.
It's got cell service. So like I can pause the music, take a call, do what I need to do, but I'm not like tempted to sit there and scroll through Twitter and read the same 18 tweets 45 times.
But you could if you wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, 90% of it, I'm not even like looking at anything. I'm just awkwardly walking to the bathrooms through a restaurant, and rather than possibly make eye contact with anybody, I have to look down at my phone the whole time. And that's not who I want to be as a human being.
You know what's funny is it's gonna sound weird, but just the other day I was thinking about you. Like, man, for someone who's like very reliant on social networking, which you are, I don't see you like on social networking a lot. You know what I mean? Like you tweet very seldom. You know, when you do tweet, it's like something like funny or like
I
try
to
you know, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
You don't like post what you're doing on Facebook, like
going
out, hanging out, what's up? Like I like that you found that balance, man, because it like I wake up in the morning, like I'll wake up in the middle of the night, Facebook. You know, like wake up in the morning, I'm checking Facebook. Yeah,
it's like really it's really conscious that I've been trying to cut back on my, if I could get rid of a smartphone, I would, but I just can't. I need to be able to like send an email back to somebody when I'm out and about.
Yeah.
And I do like enough like small traveling that I do, and I don't want to bring my computer everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, I use it as my computer, and I've really been trying to use like technology to hack like a productive health lifestyle.
Yeah.
Not even in like the I want to be super healthy, I want to be a vegan or whatever. I just like I wear this to bed, so like it tracks my like actual sleep. It tracks like my REM sleep and how long I'm actually sleeping at night, which I've been right all these years. I'm only sleeping like 4 hours a night.
Like solid?
Dude. Yeah.
Toss and turn.
I like wake up like wide awake every morning at like 2:30. And just like I'm just up for like 2 hours just like trying to get back to sleep.
Hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah,
and then
been there.
Yeah, and then then it's just death if I let myself scroll on that phone.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I might as well
dude.
just get up and make a pot of coffee because it's morning at that point.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Like I'll not daily, but like consistently enough to like be aware of it. Where like I'll wake up around like 1 o'clock and like be scrolling and like, man, I should really get to sleep. So I'll put the phone down, like lay down, I'll close my eyes, but like I'm still wide awake, my mind's racing. All right, I'm gonna scroll through and see like what's going on, or something's on TV. And then when I finally do fall asleep, like my fiance's alarm's going off for work, and she's like one of those people who has to have like 10 alarms.
Yeah.
So like as soon as one's off, it's like right to the next one. I'll be like, yo, chill with that. Like, can we shut it off? I will wake you up. I'm not going to bed anytime soon. And so when I finally do crash out, it's like, time to wake up, man.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
It's the curse.
Yeah.
It's the curse there.
I'd like to think it's because my brain's larger than the average humans.
Go ahead and go with that.
Yeah.
Tell everybody that.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to wear a shirt, screen print a shirt that says something along those lines.
I don't know if you can phrase that so that like people are really gonna love that shirt, but go ahead. Give it your best shot on that one.
My brain's bigger than the average humans.
Love it.
Perfect.
Love it.
That's $1 million shirt, bro.
Yeah. I'm
Teespring, here I come.
So what's next with the music? Like, you got the new album coming out, which is a double album.
Yeah, it's a split with a band. I really want to tell you who it is, but at the same time, like I know that they're not ready. Like we've told a few select people, and what I will say is that
this is pretty public, so it's not just telling me.
Yeah. We're on two opposite ends of the like musical spectrum, but we're great friends. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I've worked with 2 out of a handful of the members.
Okay.
And like we're great friends. You know what I mean? We talk, we hang out, we've taken trips together. Like me and one of them for sure. Like long distances. Like. Good friends. I'm a fan of them. They're a fan of me. And the idea was kicked around a long time ago, and now it's finally happening. And I'm pumped because kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, I'm not like at that same phase in my life where like for a long time, like between Imbecile, the EP, and Revelations, I was like burning myself out, like playing shows, like sometimes 4 times a week. You know what I mean? Like any show I could get, boom, boom, boom. Like I probably cleared 100 shows within a year. Like that's how bad it was. You know, good, but also bad because I was burning myself out. I noticed like a decrease in attendance, but like I was still really confident in myself and like what I was putting out. And then at some point, I just started to like lose I hate to say it, but like I lost the passion. Like I was just sort of doing music to do music. I was back in a funky mind state. And then I wrote Dark Side for what was Dark Side was actually supposed to be on I don't know if you probably do, Short Attention Span, right? It was supposed to be on like Short Attention Span Volume 2, which never happened.
Yep.
And I was like, God damn. I remember recording it, and Ebola's like, man, you're really angry. Like this is really aggressive. And I was like, it is. And you know, that sort of put me in like my zone where I wrote like Dark Side, Insomnia, and Drowning, probably like within the same week, which I think are like the 3 best songs on the album. Shout out to Sean Furtick, who sang in Drowning. Colleen Grace, you've mentioned them a few times. Love them. But I was in my zone writing those songs, and then you know, kind of hit that little hump again where I was just doing it to do it. Took a break again. And so a lot of people don't realize that Revelations was like a good 2 years in the making. You know what I mean? Like pretty drawn on.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was a long process. And then after Revelations released, obviously the Dark Side video got a pretty good response. Pushed that, toured for that. Got involved with some horrible management. I talked to you about that a little bit. Sort of like hit that funk again where like, man, I got to see firsthand, like maybe not the quote unquote business side of music, but like the shit that goes on behind the scenes for an independent artist, like, bro, I drove, well, my whole tour did. It was me, TJ Fredrickson, and First String Monopoly. We drove to Chicago, which is like a 8.5, 9 hour drive, right?
Yep. Solid.
My manager, my manager handled everything. Show up, play the show for like 25 people. At the end of the night, I ask, like, hey, so did I make any money? Like, what's the door split? And they're like, oh, your manager negotiated a door split based on draw, and we pulled everyone who came in, and since no one directly said they're here to see Rev, you didn't make any money. So, like, we drove out to Chicago. I sold a fucking T-shirt. You know what I mean? So, like, I made $10. And that really sucked. Drove out to Colorado. 2 of the shows got canceled while we were in Colorado. Brutal. One of them, the venue didn't even get back to me until we were, like, on the road heading to Chicago. Like, oh, hey.
Colorado, right?
Yeah, Colorado. Yeah. Hey, by the way, your show's not happening because the city shut us down. What the fuck? Okay. Yeah. We ended up playing at this super cool place called Joe's Place. I can't think of the bartender's name, but he was sort of running it. Incredible guy. Paid us that night. Like, barely anyone showed up, but we had a fucking blast. We were hanging out there all hours of the night, Yep. And kicked it for another week, like, trying to pick up another show. It just never happened. We played, like, Lincoln, Omaha, cut the tour short, and I was, again, back, I'm kind of rambling, but I was back in that slump where, like, man, I'm fucking done with music. Like, I don't want to do music anymore. Like, I just want to be a grown-up, get a job, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And it just didn't work like that. What I'm getting to is that there is a happy ending to all of this, because I feel like now I'm writing, like, some of the best songs I've ever written. Like, this track I just recorded for the split, I feel is like, it's going to go over really well. It's aggressive, but, like, has a serious tone at the same time. It's fun. I'm, like, in that zone, dude, and I kind of have to take advantage of it. I think that winning that first round definitely gave me, like, a confidence boost.
3 years in the making, too.
Dude, 3 years. Yeah. And a lot of people may think, like, oh, it took him 3 years to win. First of all, first year, I went up against, Well, like, it was me and the Gateway Drug. No one. I went up against Ghost Cat, who is arguably one of the best bands in the area, right? I love Ghost Cat. Nothing but love and respect for those dudes. I'm a fan. Second year, I went up against Dad, who ended up winning the entire thing, going viral, celebrities. They're fucking huge. And first of all, both of those dudes, like, have had equal, like, they've done their fair share of, like, mentoring me. Like, Ebola was really the first dude in Sioux City who gave me a chance, because when I first came out, people would see, like, what I look like. I'm a fat white dude, They're like, oh, he's a juggalo. So no one would give me a chance. Yeah. He heard Imbecile. Yep. Like, as soon as the video dropped, reached out, like, hey, my name's Ebola. I don't know if you know me deep down. I'm like, yeah, I fucking know you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Looked up to you. Looked up to them forever. And threw me on Short Attention Span. Funny story about Short Attention Span. Track on there is called Chill Pill, right? First time, okay, so the cut that made the album wasn't the first version. Went in there, recorded it, horrible. Like, but Ebola was so nice. He's like, yeah, man, that's pretty good. Yeah. And he's like, and it's definitely gonna go on the album. Like, trying to reassure himself as much as me. Yeah. And I remember going home and being like, dude, fucking trash. That just fucking sucked. That was horrible. What are you doing? And so, like, I didn't want to be the guy to be
you
like,
mean in terms of, like, lyrics, or in terms of, like, just
delivery? I love the lyrics, but just horrible delivery. Yeah. Like, the flow was off. I was very nervous because this was someone I'd looked up to for years, you know what I mean? And I'm recording in his studio right now. Sure. So, like, it may not seem like a huge deal, but for someone who's wanted to be, like, a part of the scene for so long, it was huge for me. So anyways, finally he sent me a message. He said something like, hey, I lost that file. Can you come and re-record? Yes, please. Yeah. Went there. 20 take Jaked it. And then after that, Protege was like, I love your voice, and one thing led to another. Like, I just love Sioux City, man.
What,
I love music here.
Is there any surprise that two of the most supportive dudes to the local music scene are also two of the most successful?
No,
like,
man. Here's the thing.
Try and give that obviously I'm in no position to be an authority on being a musician in Sioux City because I don't know how to play a single instrument. Right. But I try and tell people all the time, like, get involved, be supportive.
Yeah.
Help everybody out, and good things will happen.
If it was going to be anyone, it was going to be them. Yeah. Like, because they are the first ones who will be like, hey, great fucking track. Not to me, like, or to me, obviously, but to anyone. Like, hey, keep pushing, man. You're doing great. To just random people who they may not even know, like, personally. Like, you're a part of our scene. Like, they embrace that. You know what I mean? And they're great. You know what I mean? I remember I performed their CD release show at the Marquee. Beautiful. I think they were the first act to sell out the Marquee, which is awesome. Yeah. Crowd was lit, and I remember watching them on stage, and I was like, these guys are stars, dude. Like, they need to be playing arenas. You know what I mean? Like, that's the caliber they are. Like, not to take away from Ebola, but Protege is, like, hands down one of the greatest artists I've ever met. Like, him and Ebola mesh so well because Ebola is also, like, he's super soft-spoken, you know what I mean? But he hits that stage and he's a monster, dude. That blows my mind,
People are
dude.
always shocked. Like, people who didn't know that he's, like, a rapper will always be like, yeah, he doesn't talk that much, but yeah, he's a killer on stage.
Natural performer. Like, they're both great artists. And I told Mark Pro when he got off stage, I was like, you guys, you love performing. Like, it's beautiful to see. I'm really glad that they are. First of all, you've touched base on it on the show a few times, like marketing. They're great. Like, they know what to do. I think that's what Reiner does for a living, is marketing. So they've got that down. It's something that people will listen to, like, people can relate to. And they're really building their own brand, man.
Yep.
It's fucking incredible to watch. And, like, so when I started, like, hip-hop was kind of at a standstill, right? And then it was kind of booming there for a bit, and then it was at a standstill again, and then Dad dropped, and now you got people coming out from every direction. And that's not to take away from people who've been, like, War and Peace has been rapping consistently for years. That dude's one of my favorite people, one of my favorite rappers. Like, that dude has consistently done it, and, you know, unfortunately has never really gotten the recognition that he deserves, but he's incredible.
Yep.
But now you see these people gaining that success.
Yep.
It's super cool to watch.
So, hold on. Camera went out, so if this seems choppy, it's because Rosario was on watching the camera duty, and he totally blew it. Yeah. No fault of my own.
No, yeah. I apologize to everyone out there.
All right, good.
I was slacking. All I had to do was use my peripherals, and I couldn't do that right, man.
Well, that's how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, I dig it.
But yeah, I think, you know, we were talking about War and Peace, and I think, like, now more than ever, I've noticed in the Sioux City music scene that, like, different communities and groups of people are all coming into, like, one central scene, whereas before it seemed like, you know, there was, like, a South Sioux crew, and then there was the people who started 5 years ago were all in, like, one crew, and the people who were starting 2 years ago were all in one crew. But now it seems like everybody's just making music together. They're on the same show bills. It's going great.
It's a much more like, don't get shit twisted. There's still those, like, cliques. Always gonna be in every scene, but for the most part, it's like a much more united scene, and it's really cool to watch. Just like how far it's come in the past few years. I'm trying to think. I think I just dropped Imbecile, like, maybe 4 years ago. I can't really remember. Maybe 3, because, like, we just celebrated, like, the video anniversary, like, in January or something.
I think that would have been 2015.
Yeah. So about 3-4 years ago. To see how far the scene's come since then, like you mentioned, like, I'm sharing a bill with artists that I wouldn't have shared the bill with, not because I don't like them, but just because of that, like, separation.
The opportunity wouldn't have been there. Yep.
And that's super cool to watch. it's beautiful, man. Like, I feel like every scene should have that. Like, Omaha has this thing of, like, one scene, one love. Like, we're all artists here with the same goal.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love seeing it happen like that. You've got people. I've always been a firm believer that if somebody wants to, like, not just rap, but, like, make music, like, give it a go, dude. Like, you may not be great at it. Like, I personally, man, you can go on YouTube, Google Rev Acapella. Please don't. But there's, like, this acapella I wrote when I was, like, 15, 16, and it's horrendous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just advancing and, like, bettering yourself and taking the opportunity, taking that chance. And running with it,
increasing the pool of resources as well.
Yeah, that's the only way it's gonna get done.
Definitely. So this is the part of the show that I don't even warn people about. I want it to be natural, but it's the most slept on in Sioux City. It can be anything. It can be restaurants. It can be bands. It can be local products. It could be places to go with the family.
Yeah.
What is your most slept on thing in Sioux City right now?
Ooh, man, you're gonna hit me with that. Don't even have time to think, huh?
I can give you a second. My most slept on
is
for this week. There's a coffee company called Jumpy Monkey that used to be in Sioux City, and now I believe that they're based out of Sergeant Bluff. But they roast this coffee that you can buy at Hy-Vee, or there's a few other places around town. Check out their website, I guess. But they roast this coffee called Cinnamon Sticky Bun, which I'm not like a sweet coffee guy, not a flavored coffee guy, but this coffee is killer. It is dynamite. I'll put it against like most other coffees. And it's a local company. I believe that they have like people with disabilities, like work at the company, help roast coffee, all that kind of stuff, giving great opportunities to people that might not otherwise have them. And I recommend that anybody who likes coffee maybe stop by Hy-Vee and get yourself a bag. Give it a try.
That's great. I don't drink coffee, man.
No,
that made me though.
Yeah.
Want to try coffee.
All right. Good sales pitch then.
Man, most slept on. Yeah. Does it have to be one thing, or can I give like maybe from different areas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So for example, So.
I'll let you bend the rules.
Thank you.
Yeah.
La Salsita in South Sioux. I work in South Sioux. They've got probably dopest, shredded beef, like barbacoa they call it. Barbacoa quesadillas in the history of fucking quesadillas, man. They're incredible. They're great.
Solid recommendation.
Yeah, no, they're dope and cheap too. My God. And it's like good quality food. The waitress who works there is just a sweetheart. Every time I walk in there, hey honey, what do you want? I'm like, I feel at home.
You know what I want? I want that barbacoa quesadilla.
It's funny because at some point, I walk in there and she's like, all right, so you want a Diet Coke and an orange juice. Like she knows, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right up the road from there is a convenience store. I think it's called Los Amigos. You may know what I'm talking about, maybe not. There was a bar that used to be called The Attic above it. It's called Los Amigos now, but there's this convenience/liquor store down at the bottom that is hella slept on.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
I'll run up in there. I'll get me like a couple Arizona teas, like a bag of chips, and like some peanuts, and it'll be like $3. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And I mean, I'll shell out. I will leave there with like a bag full of just goodies.
It's the only way to be an adult. Dude, when you walk into a convenience store, you got to be like a 10-year-old with an unlimited budget.
It's insane. And I always, every time they tell me my total, I'm like, well.
Another trip.
Yeah, that's nuts. I think that's pretty, those two are pretty slept on.
Solid recommendations. I wasn't even aware of either of them myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that La Salsita exists, but like usually if I'm making it over to South Sioux for Mexican food, I go the like La Guadalupana or the Robles, which is the new heater in town, as everybody wants to go to Robles all the time.
I've got my own opinion on that.
All right.
But good. I'm glad to see like these businesses starting up and like making a name for themselves.
Yep.
It's still Weddles is number one in my heart though, forever, bro.
The wet burrito.
Bro, oh my God, don't get me started on the. I'm like just your typical fat white dude, bro. You get me started on a wet burrito with the cheese sauce. You get the cheese sauce or the hot sauce? What do you get?
I go hot sauce.
Okay.
I'm not really a cheese guy. I just get that.
I like to mix it up, but the cheese sauce is kind of where it's at.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with cilantro, so like I always tell them hold the cilantro, and they're pretty good about
very white
it.
taste buds.
It tastes like soap to me, bro.
Yeah, so you got the genetic mutation. Man.
Yeah, it's weird because I know people who are like, it's delicious, and I'll be like, what does it taste like? Because to me, it genuinely tastes like soap, and they're like, I can't even explain it to you.
Yeah,
it's so good. I just imagine it would taste like a plant. You know, I don't know.
It tastes like I mean, what does the color red look like? I guess
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Well,
Those are
solid
slept on.
recommendations.
Yeah.
And where can everybody who's listening, who's interested in connecting with you because you are such a good human being, where can they find your music at? Where do you want them to connect with you at?
Facebook. That's really where I spend the majority of like my time interacting with people. Facebook.com/X RevX712. Twitter, Mr. Revolution 712. I'm on the Instagram. Facebook is probably where it's at though. Videos on YouTube, of course. I'm on Apple Music, Spotify, all that good stuff. So much, I want to stress, so much new music coming soon. I'm super excited about it. I'm in one of the best musical points of my life, and I'm just going to take that and run with it.
All right. Awesome, man. I'm so excited to see what comes
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
I haven't heard any of your new stuff. You've explained the concept, but I'm loving it. And on my end, you can support the podcast, support Honeywave Media by liking the Facebook page, subscribing to the YouTube channel. It'd be great if you connected with me on Twitter. My Twitter is at Taylor J. Grote. And then on Instagram, I'm at Taylor Grote Media, and that's Grote, an unfortunate pronunciation of an otherwise great last name. And that's all we got for today. And go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and leave a rating. That'd be a great help.
Yeah.
All right, and tell your friends. Until next time, I got a heater of a guest, but until next time, I'll be seeing you.